Vishnu, can you mute your mic and check if the YouTube live is working?
That's what I'm checking right now.
Okay.
It's working right now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Welcome everyone to the 26th episode of the SCT North America podcast. Today we have with us Hima, who is from the 2019 computer science batch. One thing before we get started, so one of the reasons we are doing this is for mentorship, and we have a Telegram channel where you can ask questions about coming to the US for masters or getting an H1B and getting an on-site. Even for Canada, you can ask us questions there. The link will be in the YouTube description, so please join us if you want to ask any questions. Also, we have a coding competition that we are hosting that's running right now. It got over a couple of hours back, so thank you all for your support, and we'll send out the details once we have them. Let's get started today. We'll go through all of the hosts and we can get to Hima. So I'm Atul John. I'm from 2012 batch, currently working as a software engineer at Cisco in San Jose. Preeti,
Yeah, my name is Hari.
Yeah.
I'm from 2008 2012 batch. I'm in Seattle now. I work for Amazon.
I'm Vishnu from the 2008-12 batch Electronics and Communication Engineering. I work for a company called Brazil Cone as a supply chain consultant, and I'm based out of Dallas.
I'm Preeti. I'm also from the 2008-2012 batch. I did my bachelor's in biotechnology, and I'm currently working as a data engineer with Amazon, based out of Seattle.
And Hima, you can go.
Yeah, so I am Hima. I completed my bachelor's in CS from SCT in 2019. So I'm the 2015-2019 batch. And after that, I did my master's in Columbia University, New York, in the US. And then I moved now to California, where I'm working as a data scientist with a startup called Viaduct, and it's in Menlo Park. I'm located in the Bay Area.
Cool. I think you are the third data related person coming on our podcast. So
nice.
Preeti is a data engineer, and then we had Rohit also, who is I think he was a data architect. I think that was his role. Yeah. So it's nice to have a lot of data engineers.
A lot of data engineers, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I can start with that question, right? Why data engineering?
So I'm a data scientist.
Mm.
So it's more like ML engineer, data science kind of work. In my undergrad, in the second year, ML was booming. This new interesting thing that came up, and it gave a computer scientist a lot of power to dig out interesting insights, make informed decisions. For example, I was working on a project using satellite images. Kerala had seen one of the worst floods in our history at that point.
Right.
So using satellite images, I could figure out how much destruction happened, which regions saw the most destruction. And I created this ML model that could also predict which areas are the worst or most sensitive to destruction in the future, and segment the land at that point when the floods hit. So I found this very powerful tool that could help me solve problems, and that got me excited. So I did an internship, and once I was done with my undergrad, I was like, I really thoroughly enjoyed some of the courses and this specific field. So I thought I want to dig deeper and learn more. So that's what got excited me.
So
Got me excited.
just a follow up. I'm from Kottayam. Is Kottayam at risk as per your models? I know Alapura is screwed. So Hari is anyway underwater. I just want to make sure if Kottayam is also okay.
I don't remember specifics, but one interesting insight we found was near Kochi, there were pieces of lands where it was illegal to build anything, but people still built, and those were totally washed away and many lives were lost.
Okay.
So we got certain good insights like this. I don't remember Kochi.
ഈ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ് ബ്രേക്ക് ത്രൂ ന്യൂസ് ആയി മാറാതിരിക്കട്ടെ നാളെ ന്യൂസിൽ ഫ്ലാഷ് ML predict ചെയ്തു.
Hima, so where are you from? Are you from Kerala or you're from somewhere?
I'm partially a Malayali. So my
Okay.
dad is from Palakkad, but he was born and brought up in Delhi.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
And my mom is from Hyderabad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned you did this Kerala flood prediction, right? Or prediction or the distraction prediction. Or was it part of an internship or you just did it for fun?
Yes, it organically came from an internship. So I was doing an internship uh, on this field. I was doing some smaller projects in the company in Technopark. And then after the floods, we found this data set. It was just interesting to the whole team, and we thought, okay, let's do this. It was open source, so
Ah, nice, nice.
Yeah, that's very good that you had that exposure while you were in college itself, right?
yeah. Yeah, I credit a lot to many of the mentors, professors at college. It takes a village to help someone realize their
Right.
dreams and chase them. So I
Vish,
found the right mentors, internship mentors. It was very, very good learning experience.
Vishnu, if you want to ask something.
Yes, you mentioned that you started your data science journey while you were doing your undergrad, right? How easy was it, and how did you go about it? Like, did you search online or did you network with people? How was that? How was that process?
Yeah, a bit of everything. So I was doing a web development internship, and the CEO was also a data scientist, and conversations with him got me excited about the field. And then I did another internship fully on data science. So I think parallelly building skills and also having a good group of mentors, friends who have common interests. So you just try to learn everything you can. And now there are many online tutorials, courses, online courses from very good reputed universities, which are free. So there are a lot of resources. So it should be pretty easy. You just have to be committed to it and keep learning.
Right. Yeah, Preeti, your data engineer, go ahead.
Yeah, so how did you end up choosing Columbia University?
Columbia's master's data science program is one of the best data science programs, they say. It's also one of the most rigorous, so it's very, very challenging. But I chose, so among the admits I got, this was one of the most exciting choices I had. Yeah, I think it was almost a no-brainer. I had other admits, but they were like MSCS with a data science specialization, also from good universities. But I chose this because they had a whole data science institute, which is a department on its own just for data science. And the courses were amazing. The professors are really good. For example, we have some courses. I don't know if you know, the scikit-learn's a very widely used library in machine learning. So one of the core developers of scikit-learn, Andreas Miller, was our professor for applied machine learning course. So the courses and professors were really very top-notch, well-known in the field. Then we had a lot of interesting electives that we could take if you're interested in NLP versus computer vision versus social science. Then another aspect was the exposure. So I did you have a lot of RAs and TAs opportunities on campus, but data science being such an interesting field, it's applicable in many fields. Yeah. So there was a lot of interdisciplinary work also going on. So I worked on some projects with the history of New York, that was a social science group. I worked on another project with the water group, so environmental projects. And then I worked with a retailer, Ralph Lauren. We had a project with them about the fashion industry. So there's a lot of exposure being part of this reputed department. And the college itself, they had a lot of interesting projects going on. Then, yeah, that's what made me choose.
It's interesting, right? Like you have this tool that is applicable to any field, right? You can leverage it for any industry, basically. That's really powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
we can solve problems in many industries. Yeah.
Right. So can you talk to us about your profile and how you were accepted into Columbia? Like, because Columbia is an Ivy League university. We shouldn't talk. We should talk about that more. But can you talk about your process of how you were able to get that admit at Columbia?
Yeah. So I think in undergrad, I focused rigorously on growing and becoming better, both in the field itself, but also otherwise. For example, I was part of many tech communities in the city. Any tech event going on, I would be there. I would make sure to be there and meet people doing interesting things. So I was part of the TEDx Thiruvananthapuram group. I was part of the IEEE group on campus. I was part of some open source groups. Then what else? I was part of anitav.org, which is a women in engineering
Right. Yeah.
group. So through being part of these events, there's an added exposure which you might not get in the campus directly. And it also gives you an opportunity to create events, create newer things on campus, and get people excited. And people who are also interested in this join you. And so I made sure to increase. I just wanted to learn more from people who are also interested in the same things.
Mm-hmm.
So in undergrad, I focused a lot on that. I was in a lot of such events, and while also pursuing interesting internship projects, my own projects, studies, courses. So even though so all of this helped me to build a profile. So I had good recommendations from my internship managers, from professors, good GPA, good scores, and a lot of leadership skills also exhibited through these events and being part of many conferences. Yeah, so I think that would have made my profile.
Yeah, this is very useful stuff, right? Like, because most people don't think about things outside of their GPA or GRE. So you have to kind of build like a holistic profile. It's not just about your scores, right? So it's and
Yeah.
internships, like you talked about internships in machine learning. So it's very good information that you're giving to everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like being part of many organization, events, organizing, this also gives a leadership skill, right? That's very important in your career.
Yes, exactly. If you're able to build a club in your college, I think that's the advantage of smaller colleges. It's a more closely knit community, so you can communicate with a lot more people. And when it's a bigger setting, it can turn into a rat race. Everyone knows what to do. It's very predictable. But when it's a smaller community, you can build newer things. There's less risk involved, I feel like.
Yeah, this podcast is also part of that, right? We don't have an alumni network in the US, so we're building something from scratch. So it's like, because if we were from an IIT or NIT, we don't have to do that. You already have a very strong network. So yeah, definitely, stuff like this really helps being from SCT college. Vishnu, do you want to ask something?
Yeah, so Hima, another question that I had in my mind was that you mentioned that you come from a computer science background, right? And you went into data science. So, is the curriculum at Kerala University really helpful in terms of getting into data science, or what were the courses or electives that you took while you were an undergrad that helped you move into this data science field?
Yeah. So we had, I think the courses were very good in themselves. If you look at the textbooks from these courses, that the syllabus that was taught, it's very relevant. And that's what got me excited about the field itself. But there's slight difference in the way we learn in India and the way we learn here. For example, the assignments we get in our colleges would be similar application of what was taught in class, just a slightly different question. But in US, in the colleges here, it would be a totally different way of thinking. You would have to put together 3-4 concepts you learned in the last class and apply. It involves a lot more thinking in depth. So you have to be really involved in the courses here. But the courses itself are good in our college. So, and there are a lot of supplementary things you can do. And we had electives for machine learning itself in the CSE branch. So I just took those in the last few semesters.
So it's nice because I think during our time we didn't have any of these courses, right, Hari?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think we just had, for us, we had some neural network, something is there, but it was just still on peripheral stuff, was not there in detail.
കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി പഴയ കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി അല്ല.
മാറിപ്പോയി.
Yeah, I think our batch was probably they were just introducing electives. And
Okay. Were you the first batch for KTU, like Kerala Technical University?
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you did your internships, right? Were they during, like, did you do it in the midst of your classes, or how did you manage it?
Yeah, no, I think I just did in the summer, second year summer and the third year summer. I did it, and one in Palayam and one in Technopark.
How do you figure, how do you think, how did you get that inspiration to go to internships? Usually, I don't think, I never thought about internships and all of that
So
when I was studying
I think
college.
right now KTU the syllabus mandates internships. Is that right? Or
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember fully, but yeah, I think because I was part of many of these events, I just knew people in Technopark, and I would meet people who are starting projects or have some internships. So I just joined that way. So yeah,
Yes.
just increasing your exposure helps a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
So here, are you part of any such tech clubs? Because obviously you are in the Silicon Valley, right? You will have access to so many networks. So are you part of any networks right now?
Yeah, I think from the time COVID started, it's slowed down to be part of such events, but I'm still part of AnitaB.org. Like in New York, before COVID, I volunteered for them for their
GSC?
conference in New York.
Oh,
Not GHC, they had a smaller citywide conference. It's called the Hopper Conference or something in New York City. Yeah, I volunteered there. Now it's more online. I just meet people online, and if they need help through LinkedIn, they reach out. It's become more like lesser, but I want to get back soon.
Right. Yeah, I think people are they have face-to-face meetings now coming back. Like even in our office, they want us to come back, and I mean it's nice to talk to people directly, right? Like even like
Yeah.
getting help from people is easier when you can directly go and bug them. So yeah, hopefully you can. If you have any meetups, please let me know. Also, I would also like to join some of these meetups.
Yeah, definitely. I think GHC is partially in person this year, so people who are interested should definitely go.
Can you talk about GSC? Because from what I've heard, it's mostly a woman-led conference. Is that true, or?
Yes, I would say women-led, but also allies come who are not women. So it's basically the world's biggest tech conference catered towards underrepresented minorities in tech. So you would meet a lot of, it's like the biggest or the really well-known people in tech are under the same roof in this conference. For example, Melinda Gates came a few years ago. There are many well-known people who come to the conference, but you have a lot of interesting sessions you can attend, meet people who are also interested in the same things, talk about. There are a lot of mentorship circles. And this is a good story because I met my now mentor in GHC India. So they have some fun sessions like speed dating. They have I forget the name, but it's basically speed dating, but with a mentor. So the mentor keeps changing the table you are sitting on,
Oh, okay.
and you get 15 minutes to talk to each new person who could be your mentor. You can ask any questions. You're like 4 or 5 people on the table, and the mentor keeps shifting. And I met my now mentor there, and she has since then been such a great influence in my life, both professionally and personally. So there are many such events that help you meet people in this conference. They're there to help support you and help you grow in your career and in your life.
Just a segue, continuing on your mentorship thing, can you elaborate on mentorship? Because I think you are also part of some, because you said that you like mentorship. So are you actively mentoring someone, or what do you do for that?
Yeah. I think 2018, the one year before I graduated, was my year of mentorship because I found a lot of mentors that helped me prioritize things in life, how to focus and how to achieve what I want to achieve they really helped me that year. So from then I've realized the power of mentorship, and I've always tried to give it forward.
Right.
So I try to help people, whoever I can see myself in them when they're younger and have dreams and want to do things.
Right.
So I want to make sure that that's not lost, and I try to help them achieve. So anything from applications or knowing about certain fellowships. There are certain fellowships that I received in Colombia that help people who are passionate about technology but are from India. So there are certain fellowships that are relevant. So if it's about telling them about how to apply to those fellowships, scholarships, how to, like, even the job search in US is a whole thing. So it's
Mhm.
helping them, supporting them through that.
Yeah, hopefully through our platform we will get you more customers. Yeah, I mean it's still building up. Like I've had, like, Vishnu and I have had some people reach out to us, so hopefully we can build this platform up and more SCTians can come to the US. Let's hope for that. Vishnu or Hari, if you want to ask something.
Yeah, maybe I can. Let's switch gears to a little more professional things. So you said you're working in a startup, right? So how is the work culture? So did you feel any different? I don't know if you have worked in India, but how is it working in a startup?
Yeah, no, I don't have full-time work experience in India, but if working in a startup is your thing, you should definitely try to do it here. Um, it's very, as expected, it's very fast-paced, very challenging, but also very rewarding. You get to work closely with an awesome group of people in your company. You get to work on things that are not yet solved, and that's very exciting. Um, the culture is very good. We live in a liberal bubble in the Bay Area, so you have many conveniences at your I mean,
Disposal.
yeah, at your disposal. And yeah, it's very, very fun. It's very fast paced. It's very rewarding. I can talk a bit probably about what we do at Viaduct.
Sure.
So I'm a data scientist, and I work on connected vehicle data, so cars and trucks. It's predictive maintenance on them. So a use case you could think is fleets like UPS don't want to have their trucks break down on the road. For them, uptime is very important. So using predictive maintenance, we can help them, schedule their repairs or services so that there are as few on the road failures for them. So that's one use case. So I work with vehicle data. And
How do you collect the data? Do you collect sensor data?
yeah, it's called telematics data, and it's connected. There are sensors and systems put in place in these vehicles that collect the data regularly.
Okay.
Vishnu, I think she's helping with your supply chain issues.
Yeah, I was about to come to that. Yeah, even we have a similar product that helps with predictive maintenance in our company. Yeah.
Oh no, your competitors.
So a question that I had is that since you're working in a startup, right? How do you see your career grow maybe 5 years down the line? So I know that startups can be very explosive in terms of growth, right? You might be starting off as an engineer first, and you will have like an exponential growth in terms of your career trajectory. So how do you see yourself progressing in this particular company or in this particular role?
Yeah, I think there's also the added advantage of you being involved on a feature or on a product from finish to end till it reaches the customers, gets feedback, and you see the real life impact then and there once you're done with the project. So in terms of growth, it's like you would do things you would do in a larger company setting in 5 years. You probably would do it here in 1 or 2 years. So the learning trajectory is very steep. um, so I think in terms of I've always focused on learning. So in terms of your growth, technical, like skills wise, and just exposure and experience and working closely with the team, I think it's a very, very good opportunity to work in a startup.
So I've heard that you have a lot of pressure working at a startup. So have you experienced that? And if you have, how do you deal with that?
In terms of pressure, I would say choosing the right kind of startups which give you that which give you that opportunity to grow would be the right thing to do. So there are some well-known startups in the Bay Area which have a lot of potential. In terms of pressure, I think it's not much different. If there are projects we really want to deliver and on a deadline, there are pressures at that. But I don't think that's a startup specific thing, at least in my experience. I don't think I have more pressure than my friends working in the big tech per
Okay.
se. Yeah.
So you're
How do
in
you
a
short? Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, you're in a good startup.
Yeah.
Preeti, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
was going to ask, how do you go ahead and shortlist your particular startup that you wanted to work on? Did you check something like Y Combinator, or how do you angel list,
Yeah.
or how do you shortlist it?
Yeah, you could check Y Combinator, or I somehow knew about some really good startups through these conferences I was part of in New York. They would come to these conferences, talk about it. But the startup I joined specifically, I found on Twitter. I used to follow one of their employees, and I found about them through Twitter. So I came from an angle of, I love the work their employees doing, so I want to be part of that. So that's how I discovered them. But I think for me, it was not a very formal process, because another thing when you're looking for jobs in the US is you just apply everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't limit.
Yeah.
So it's a factor of both.
Yeah, so there was this discussion about how to choose a startup. So because we know that startups are at different phases of their growth, right? You have to look at how much money has come in, like Series A, at what stage they are in their funding, and do they, like, what point do they think that they will go to market and all those. So you never really considered those factors while joining, right?
Yeah, I had looked into that also. Yeah, I'd looked into the potential the startup had, what series they were in.
Correct.
And this was an early stage startup, and I really admired the team and the work they were doing. So it was a startup, but not with the many problems of a startup.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I think if somebody else has questions.
Okay, something non-technical, because we've asked you a lot of technical questions. What are your hobbies beside career? I mean, what are the things that you do beside your career interests?
I have this big group of friends. I think my core friend from the East Coast, all of us moved to the West Coast for our jobs.
Wait. Okay, this is a good opportunity to diss the East Coast. So you're saying that there are no jobs in the East Coast? It's just this big bubble of New York that people create, but there are no jobs there.
No, just my core friends moved. There are many friends still in the East Coast
Okay.
side, and one friend who from our core group who's not here. But many of us luckily coincidentally came together. There are still many friends who are there, but anyway, there are many friends I have here. So on the weekends there's always some plan. Yeah, I think, and in Indian groups, you can, if you know 5 people, you know 25 people.
Yeah.
Because those 5 people would have their roommates, relatives, roommates. So you just know a lot of people, meet a lot of people in many of the parties or hikes or dinners. You just tend to meet a lot of people.
Right.
So almost all our long weekends are planned. We would go to some of these national parks. I was just asking Atul if he's in Yosemite.
And I replied saying I wish.
Yeah, so a lot of plans like that. Then I try to do swimming or cooking. I like cooking. And
So,
yeah,
since you studied in New York and then you made the change to Bay Area, what cultural or differences have you felt like between the two cities, or anything
different.
like even weather also you can talk about, because we
Oh
have good
yeah,
weather here.
oh yeah. California weather is amazing compared to New
Yes,
York.
yes.
ഇനി അതിൽ വേറെ ഒന്നും വേണ്ട.
We can stop the podcast right now. Actually, I'm happy. Like,
I'd say most of West Coast is amazing compared to New York in terms of weather. Not just California, Seattle is also good.
ഫുൾ വെസ്റ്റ് കോസ്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറയണ്ട.
Look at you, Hari. You should,
Only for 3 months.
So I'm talking about like in terms of the pace of life. Is New York the same as, because I've heard that people in New York are very like they don't have time for stuff. They are always doing something. So, but California is not that fast paced, I would say. Like, so have you felt
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I've definitely felt that. Depends on where you live in New York and California. So I lived in Manhattan, which was in the heart of all the activity. It's very lively neighborhood. So yeah, it's very Times Square. It's very crazy. You can meet a lot of crazy people in New York, but there's also the good side of it. It's very lively. If you go to the Newport, I don't know how many of you have been to New York or New Jersey, but there's a nice you get to see the skyline at night. It's very beautiful by the Hudson River. So and there's Riverside. You can go for long walks by the river. It's very nice. It's very lively. People who love the city love to be in New York. In California, it's much more laid back and nicer weather, not the cold snow in the winters. And yeah, you need a car, which was a pain point in the beginning, but now I love
Driving.
that about California as well.
Yeah. Vishnu, if you have something.
I think I am done with my questions for the day.
Yeah, I think maybe we can wrap up. I think so. Generally, for juniors, we don't take too much time. We know that, uh, like it's different, right? Like even for us, I think I can talk about half an hour. That's it for me. But yeah, thank you for joining us. It was a nice session. A lot of valuable tips, and definitely in the future, like if people want to reach out to you, they can put a face to your name and reach out to you. So
Yeah, sure thing.
yeah,
People can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help.
yeah, definitely. Also, if you would like to help out with any of our activities, we would love to have you on anything that you can help out with. It'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining. Thanks Hari, thanks Vishnu, thanks Preeti, thanks Hima especially for joining. I will stop the streaming now and then let's just